a candidate's, if we, Supreme Court orders tells that you have to give your cases of any criminality, your assets, your family's asset, through a affidavit once you file your candidate. So what is so, difficult ki he should not tell, he or she who wouldn't tell me ki from where is source of money. That when you give to State Bank of India, who is not regulated like Reserve Bank of India, is supposed to be conscious body, regulatory body, so on over the bank. Now, when bank sells, you might have made a law. It is quite clear that data available to bank itself will bound to be available to the government of India. Who buys it? Who affords it? They don't have so much love for their political parties unless they look in return something, but you can use the word quid pro quo. Obviously, there's a return. Anyone say RTI is a weapon, I get very annoyed. I said, वहाँ भी अपने लोग हैं, यहाँ भी अपने लोग हैं. Weapons are used for enemy, but this is a way of taking information that you can find something wrong. You can bring reform in this system.
Hello and welcome to the News Minute. The Supreme Court has reserved its judgment in the Electoral Bonds Case after conducting marathon hearings for the past 3 days. Multiple petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court challenging the legality of electoral bonds that allows political party to receive donations anonymously. Along with several activists, if there is one man who has exposed electoral bonds and has also made it a talking point across the nation, it's Commodore Lokesh Batra, who's a former Navy officer and also a transparency activist. Joining me today is Lokesh Batra. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us. Why do you think that the electoral bond scheme should go?
The very fact it's damaging our free and fair election. Leave that as a simple thing. When I go and vote in a democracy, first thing, we got to know the candidate, who is the right candidate for me. For that purpose, his source of income. How is he managing it? And similarly, the political party funding. The point here is that there are two types of funding. One is the political parties during the election spend money, and the other is a candidate. So it's all mixed up that who is spending money of anonymity fund. It's a huge sale. And look at this. What I received the response 2 days ago. It is 1,100 some odd crores and more than 1,000 electoral bonds sold are of 1 crore each, which bringing the percentage wise, it is 95 point some odd percent are 1 crore. That means number of people who are buying could be very less. The same party could be buying in crores. And when you total it up, the latest was 28th phase. Starting from March 2018 was the first, which itself, in my view, was illegal. So in 28 phase, we had come nearly close to the 15,000. Another 60 or 65 crore less. Let there be another one, we'll cross to, maybe we come down to 16,000 crore. But where is the money going? Is it a fair play for everybody? Because if the money goes to one party in ruling, but beyond that is a candidate's, if we, Supreme Court orders tells that you have to give your cases of any criminality, your assets, your family's asset, through a affidavit once you file your candidate. So what is so, difficult ki he should not tell, he or she who wouldn't tell me ki from where is source of money.
But the Indian government says that the citizens have no right to know about who is donating money for a political party. So what is your problem is what the Indian government is, making that argument in the Supreme Court. They say that the citizens have absolutely no right to know who is donating this money.
That statement was made before the hearing started. One day earlier, you must have read in the newspaper by Attorney General. There's nothing to comment on that because it talks something different. Right or no right? Section 91 of Constitution says your rights, your liberty rights. I mean, you can prove it indifferently, directly or indirectly. Plus, there are many laws which say that elections should be absolutely transparent, fair. I mean, there's no question about it. Then, besides, it was not only that bringing up the electoral bonds, it was all the regulations and rules of the elections, the way it goes on, whether People's Representative Act, whether the company laws, whether the income tax law, and worst was the Reserve Bank of India. Now we know Bank is responsible for running the finance and controlling the finance. So everybody, including banks, but they were also overruled. They were only given, I think it was 48 hours or something, that just suddenly somebody woke up to say, let's ask the view of RBI, just a formality. Even they worked hard and they replied in less than, or say, 48 hours. And they had can create a money laundering. This is not the system. So what is the file or RTA documents I obtained? It says too late. I mean, you're asking too late is too late. Budget speech is already printed. Budget was coming up next. So this kind of thing. And there is somewhere the remarks on the file that is not fully aware, RBI is not aware. However, this whole process of selling or other, as far as the procedure, should have lied with the RBI, because they are the one who are sending the currency. And it's not that. The issue was raised by Election Commission as early as on 26th May 2017, much before when dialogue started. They said it will create shell company, black money will come, and maybe foreign funding directly or indirectly, because they said now any corporate which is a foreign company, if established in India, can also donate. Then there was a company law that last 3 years profit you can only give 7.5% donation. Now that was also lifted. So there could be companies, false company, they'll just come just to give you funds.
During the course of the hearing, the Supreme Court also made that remark saying that if a company has just a profit of 1 rupee, they can give away crores of rupees to any political parties anonymously, and we wouldn't know.
You see, these are points which was raised both by Election Commission in their first letter of 26th of May of 2017. With changing all the laws, there is no control anyway. Now, information of donation won't be known to the Election Commission also. That's the worst thing happened. Who are controlling, supposed to be managing election. So that way, their letter is worth reading. They address it to Law Ministry Legislative Department on 26th of May. Fast track. I'll come to that letter later on, because when I filed, I got this letter, I got complete file which had their own assessment against each amendment, adverse. So they had objected. RBI, as I mentioned it, was given 48 hours, and when they replied adversely and which did not suit the government, they said, we have already printed the budget speech. You see, they woke up, they could have asked, we are going to amend that act also. So they objected to it, but they kept on pushing everybody to corner. During the file, we have also come to know that even Law Ministry also objected. Law Ministry said, how can you have a promissory note? When they send a draft to them, you see, no such thing called promissory note, is just like a currency note. But then on the file, the secretary was asked, come meet us in the Ministry of Finance. No, I don't know what happened. Then they had no say. Now we have an objection from the Reserve Bank of India, which is the largest thing. Election Commission, as per Constitution, is supposed to run free and fair election, and their letter is worth saying it. Then a lot of things happen. Again and again, RBI did not agree. When they took them to almost push them to the corner, they said, okay. They said it should be in a DMAT format. We'll be able to manage it, because the under the charter, it is the role of the Reserve Bank of India. It's a central bank, that's why it's called. And government wanted to give to another, let's say third party, maybe a government one like State Bank of India. They objected to it. They also said it'll create a lot of corruption. If you read that letter, that number, and there is not one letter exchange. There are a number of letters exchanged, and two letters which I have been able to share recently with this thing before this, where I feel RBI governor himself has been writing. One letter was sent in September 14th to addressed to Finance Minister, then Finance Minister Shri Arun Jaitley ji, and the Secretary of the Ministry. And in this case, when we talk of Secretary of Ministry, it is the Department of Economic Affairs.
Okay.
Because they were assigned the job by Department of Revenue to now you take off once there. Initial scheme was conceived in the Department of Revenue, it obvious from the files. So they started objecting, it's not possible. They said, okay, we have a DMAT, electronic transfer, there should be no physical. Now here physical means electoral bond. There are two ways. One is a physical transaction of money and digital transaction. The entire thing should be in digital form. But the response came from the ministry, Secretary DA, or whoever written it, says that no, this will be non-starter because the whole policy is that donor names have to be kept secret. So you will see the entire focus in the correspondence was to keep the names of the donors. And there only one excuse was there. They are scared to donate. Why would they be scared to donate? If you want to give to party, you will give. And here the scheme was such that when you give to State Bank of India, who is not regulated like Reserve Bank of India, is supposed to be constitutional body, regulatory body to over the banks. Now, when bank sells, you might have made a law. It is quite clear that data available to bank itself will bound to be available to the government of India. To say that if you ask, you don't get it. Take for instance, let's say this latest phase finished on 27. It started on 4th. Selling period was first 10 days. It went up to 13th. But if anybody bought it on first, another had 14 days because first is the 15th day, it finished. But anyone who bought it on 13th, the last date of encashment for those who bought it on 13th was 27. Now 28th, 29th happened to be second Saturday holiday. So these banks don't function on Saturday. So those 10 days also, if you get four holidays, that's fine. They don't increase because of that. But in this case also, if I have received the response on 31st, Government of India gets after each sale, which is Department of Economic Affairs, complete data, how much sold, and in addition, there's something called commission, like service charges, but they use the word commission. For every sale, depending on the amount, this commission is charged. Now, during the dialogue, State Bank of India they were also sent draft, they had also objected to certain things. Like this money should be, initially they said, you bear the cost, State Bank, because you have the reserve money between the first day and 15th day, there'll be floating cash. They presumed right from the beginning that people will buy a large denomination. But on the other hand, one of the ruling party functionary, had written a letter to the finance minister saying that our workers, grassroots workers, will like to have buy and donate. So we need a small amount of this thing, like 1,000, 10,000. So because of that, government went ahead and 2,56,000, I think 2,56,000 bond each for these two. And today you can't even call them sold as a 100. Excuse me. So this is how they were printed, and it went to last year or it was end of 21st. They had to print another 10,000 bonds for only denomination of 1 crore because it's being sold in that. If you look at the percentage from the table, it is average for 28 phases come to 94.31 is only 1 crore. I can't even talk of 1 lakh, they come to 0.000 and about 5% are 10 lakh. So
Okay,
why not? Who
yeah.
buys it? Who buys it? Who affords it? They don't have so much love for their political parties unless they look in return something. But you can use the word quid pro quo. Obviously, there's a return. And I was listening to something which has not been spoken, has been spoken in the last few days. Anyone with the NPAs want to leave the country and go away, they can do a large, I mean, this is the argument brought out, it's a new to me also. They can go away out of country and possibly government can help them. Possibility. I'm just talking of another video which surfaced this afternoon. I mean, you can't overrule it, but it doesn't go well with me, doesn't gel, but it can happen. So all these objections, they were all overruled.
But
Specifically, the
here,
word used against this Reserve Bank's, the Governor Reserve Bank of India, at the last when they did not agree, that's been is harping us again and again. That was 27 September 2017. They say in any case, now we have amended the law, we are the authority. Well, that is the kind of thing that we are the authority after amending it. Is they can express that this thing views, but it does not matter. But still, finally, they
okay,
had to.
here the question is that when this scheme was introduced, the then Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said that this is to ensure transparency. But you have been chasing electoral bonds since 2017, filing
Yes.
multiple RTIs and trying to get as much as information possible and put it out there in the public domain. What is your sense? What have you seen? Like, is it very strange that the government is backing the scheme like this? And what could be the possible reason that they are talking about the privacy of the donor? They don't
And the
bother
political
about
party, the political
they
party who gets it, and they were
yeah.
used to put in their records the each transaction. I think they didn't. They are not required. So see, it all started with when something started, in the air. So I went through a system. I went through first RTI in the Election Commission, took their files. Then I saw this letter has been written to the Law Ministry, Department Legislation. Along with the documents I received from Election Commission, I filed an RTI, and that was by the time 2018. I asked them the status of the letter you received from, and I was surprised to find it was lying on their file. And after that, they reacted almost 1 year later, and then another reminder was sent, and they forwarded that letter to Department of Economic Affairs. Now, when that letter went to Department of Economic Affairs, they either filed or something my RTI, obviously these two documents from Election Commission and the Ministry that you have received this letter, what have you done? They came back to me saying that it is a job of Department of Revenue. By the time they were already tasked and they were already selling. Anyway, Department of Revenue, I filed many RTI, they never responded. But like this Department of Economic Affairs, then suddenly what happened, I think it was 18th December or plus minus 2018, a question was raised by one of the MP saying that they asked the MOS finance, question is that what action has been taken, something like that, the wording was there. Or maybe the question started with, are you aware of this and what actions taken? So our Honorable MOS Finance says, we are not aware of such letter. That is time, I little woke up from sleep because it's not only this, my RTI, with the documents were already with them, beside the legislative department of the Ministry of Law had sent them. The moment I released this letter, and obviously everybody woke up, that it was not true what minister said. Whether it was He was not briefed for by the department or whatever reason it is. But this caught the eyes of everybody. And that honorable member of parliament filed a privilege notice on the last day of session. Then generally feeling was the session gets over, that privilege notification dies. But my experience, which I filed RTI in law ministry as well as in checked up with the parliamentary, it was Rajya Sabha, they said no, they never died. When next session comes, this will be brought back. At moral of the story, at the end of with this pressure, the new MOS finance, that file is with me, how he had to write to the ministry, it was an oversight. Exactly somebody I know, but it was apologetic, but at same time it was a kind of an error. We were not aware of it. And it was not deliberate. So that was also published. I have all those files of that. So virtually I have all the documents. Then it was became necessary for me by time 2019 came, in which we came from every document had a story. Like when it went to Department of Economic Affairs, they distributed that letter among the various division of this. So one of the divisions said did not agree with the government, that is they agreed with election commission. So even then we say that one of you are saying that you agree with the election commission. So it was different media was doing. I think that story was picked up by Quint. So I decided to file a simple RTI. All the files and documents held in the Department of Economic Affairs, I like to take the copies. All copies as full. There was a little hesitation, but finally, sometime in August, I managed to get at least I say what they say, because I won't know what all files they have. They gave me all files, including the one of printing press. Now it was thousands of paper to study and find out. Even now, when you find, I was reading this latest two thing which I just released 3 days ago or 4 days ago. There's a story in every page. And not only that, then I started asking for the sale data. And beyond sale data, like how many parties are eligible. Eligibility criteria is there that you have to have one person and not below that party who has got in last election, whether it's assembly or the central government, Lok Sabha election. And when we started asking it, the first response I got it, that we were 23. That was on 22 March. But now it is stuck to 25. So very interesting thing happened, which was talked today again also. This case had come up in 2009 to the then Chief Justice, so I think Justice Gogoi was there, Chief Justice Gogoi. He, in his judgment on 12th April 2019, said it's a heavy matter. It requires thorough hearing. But meantime, he directed all political parties in sealed cover
to submit their details of money that they have received.
Correct. Through the electoral bond.
Electoral
Details
bond,
were,
yeah.
But shockingly, it was easy for to get information on electoral bond till now. Recently, they become. I would get their affidavit, they are filed in the court and everything. If I'm right, it was 3rd February 2020, along with counter affidavit, they sent the complete list of that 105 sealed envelopes deposited with the registry, which surprised me when I'm seeing the present hearing. When today also, what I read in the media, the Supreme Court has said that the date should be extended till 30 September. But those were deposited already with the registry. So I was not opened up. This mystery, I can't understand what was the reason. But the fact is, on that 105 also, a study had to be carried out, and then ADR came into the picture. How many of such parties
Before
had
that,
one?
I
Even
just
I'm just
want
saying
to ask
1%.
Yeah.
We found out 90% of them did not even have 1%. There's somebody else carried out a fact check going to some of those parties, because 4 names on that list did not have the party name also.
Hmm.
So they said, we didn't know, we were asked, so we gave them. And now we know that around that time, if I'm saying in last year in March, it was 23, 24, and 25, there must be much less. So that RTI also under file and sealed envelopes, which are sent to registry. Now I don't know what is the status. So these kind of things keep coming. Every time you dig something, you find there more. The issue of right RTI is that every time you file RTI to dig out something, even if one piece of paper gives you some information out of 1,000 pages, you want to find out that information. Similarly, printing. Now that's why they said it is to be absorbed. Government said, don't worry about it. Commission government will take on, and so is printing cost. That's why I use the word billionaire buy tax free. Political parties get tax free. It is taxpayers who pay for that. That's a famous term we used it every time.
But how do you see the argument that is being made by the Indian government? They say that they this releasing the details of donors or allowing transparency in a scheme like this is nothing short of invading into the privacy of a donor. So how do
No,
you
I do.
see this
I
argument?
just said, already said, if you are donating like this, there will be quid pro quo. The way the money is coming out in crores and 1 crore denomination, it has to be some big businessman. Why would somebody has so much love for political party not looking for return? So you got to know. They came back to, I heard yesterday, Solicitor General's speech or one of the government stand. He was trying to bring it to 2004, that act was amended and this happened, and 2013 this happened. But it's a, I did not find that argument good. If that was bad, it does not mean you go further bad. You should have tried to reform the system rather than going, yes, 20,000 and above, but when they announced in the speech that now money will be brought down to 2,000. Now,
Hmm,
one way is brought down, but certain law is still 20,000. It's
hmm,
not changed even after so many years. But the argument for 2000, though, earlier those who used to give, let's say 19,000, they will get 199, 1,099, and money will be saved if anybody wants to do that. Then the trust were in between called, where a company can get together 7, 8 company, what I understand. That's what was talked in yesterday. They can form a trust, and they can from that trust distribute the money. I think those rules also came up much later when this was asked yesterday in the court. The question was asked by the bench. So they found that unless the rules are there, no law is effective. Rules were, I think, passed very late.
also,
So
sir,
the right
the
system has to
the
be
government,
improved.
yeah.
When a finance minister said transparency, I mean, all of us who are listening, for first 3 minutes was something cheer on our face. And as soon as it became an opacity, I mean, it was so surprising thing going like this. Yeah, go ahead.
And also, sir, that the government also says that it's public interest to protect the identity of the donors. So
No, in
what
fact,
should a common man
in
do?
fact, they said no. I mean, if you are talking of the statement came before the hearing started from affidavit that people have no right to ask. That was, I mean, you have a right. I am the voter. If I don't have a right to know my candidate's money, source of money, if I know his criminal record, if I know his asset, and I won't even know but from where is money. Money is the biggest thing which plays in the today playing in our election system. Earlier, we used to hear till TN session came that booth capturing, and we used to have cash sharing. Even now, we hear from the election commission they're been able to pick up that. It may not be the same story of picking up everything. They have been able to get cash from the cars and all that. It is still flowing. There's no monitoring as such. If somebody goes and gives it. And second part is the biggest problem, the promissory note. It doesn't have the party name. It doesn't have the, it's like a currency note. Now, what we were saying all day long, I think it was mentioned yesterday, which I've been arguing earlier. I give my KYC and I buy, say, 1 crore. Now you have, I mean, another party has quite a lot of black money and want to turn into white. They say, I give you 1 crore 20 lakh or 1 crore 10 lakh, whatever the amount you can call it. and I'll carry this bond. Because if there's no name, and even the political party doesn't know who has given it, it can change 10 times, 15 times. This argument was also RBI said if we do electronically, we can monitor it, the movement of that. Now, whose hands it's going, nobody knows. And who gives it to political party since their name is not there? Like it was said in yesterday hearing, one of the petitioners. Somebody can say under your door, slip some electoral bonds, and you go and cash. You won't even know. The one who did, you won't come to know. But the fact is that the one who has donated and the one party who has it, there be somewhere they will know each other. Otherwise, how will you do quid pro quo? Because the fact is that 94.321 or 341 sold in last 28 phases is only in 1 crore denomination. Where the initial plan was to have 1,000, 10,000, so workers can go and donate it. And what you are saying that 1,000 also, they were bought initially as a trial by media also. The first was one of the quaint media journal named Poonam Agarwal. Somehow she suspected because government said there is no serial number in this, and you can't read it with naked eyes. So went ahead and they tried various set tests to find under UV light the moment you do it's a number.
Hmm.
And I know in the file who raised after it was story okay it came back, but Indian Express journal wrote to the ministry, is it true? They quickly did the damage control and issued a proper public PIB release. On our file, we have a public release saying that because in this law, only the law enforcing agencies could ask for it if they find something wrong. That means they will have access to it. So that was a hidden number. So if there's a number, the bank which is selling need it. When somewhere it is also encashed in another bank, political party goes to another one of the branch and encash it. So there are linkage of numbers. So after almost somebody, if it did not do it, it would have remained as it doesn't have a serial number. And then they say there'll be accounting problem. Somebody can print fake and donate like this. So under this argument, it's only after the system was exposed, they admitted and sent a press release. So to say that I don't know from where the fund is flowing. Last time in general election, the estimates or guesstimate which were being done is the most expensive election. When your candidate is allowed to spend this much or party this much, from where that money came? It's a matter of question. It's not only electoral bond, the money may be flowing from any country. The country wants to help you for their business. I mean, I want to do business in India from any other country. I open up a company here, start donating, and same time that business of that company will be helped. I tell you what, I filed but that was different, sorry. That I was going to talk about the PM Care, how I found out even in China and even in Pakistan, we advertise, publicize PM Care Fund. Nobody will believe until I show the documents. And our missions,
Okay.
the entire missions were told. But I'm saying same way, come back to this, that any country you don't like it, but they can also do open, and you give them clearance. So
Right, sir. Yes. So let's see what the Supreme Court decides because the matter, after a very long time, there was a marathon hearing and a five-judge bench has heard this matter, which is led by the Chief Justice. So we'll hope Supreme Court comes up with some answers at least to the Indian voter as to what exactly or how do they see the electoral bond scheme. And thank you so much for joining us, sir. And your work in all of this is something which is very, very important. Documenting each and every process of the electoral bonds has helped transparency activists and other activists to challenge this particular scheme in the court of law. So let's see whether it
I
withstands the
don't want to
scrutiny
take
of
a
law.
credit, everything done by, but having worked myself in the government, I know how things function. And
Right.
I said yesterday in another channel, anyone say RTI is a weapon, I get very annoyed. I said,
Hmm.
वहाँ भी अपने लोग हैं, यहाँ भी अपने लोग हैं. Weapons are used for enemy, but this is a way of taking information that you can find something wrong. You can bring reform in this system. RTI is
Hmm.
meant to be participatory governance. That's how I look at it. That is why it came up, and today, last 3 days, you are hearing the case. Had it not come out through the documents, certain issues, we would not reach this stage and we would not be doing interview today. That's what I'm saying. So RTI is a means to participate in governance. And as Rajasthan, when they started MKSL movement, Arna Roy, Nikhil Day, they said, Mera paisa, mera aisa. Because government has a zero money.
Yeah.
It's a taxpayer money. It is for you to keep an eye on your money, whether it's judicially being used for the public interest. That is one of the basic Mera paisa, mera hisab.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Let's see what the Supreme Court has to say about electoral bonds. Thank you so much for talking to us, sir.
Most welcome. I'm happy to share what I have because the information must disseminate it to maximum people. And I think you are doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you,
Although
sir.
me, you're most welcome.